All the God of War fans recognize Kratos as the god of war, but in Greek mythology, it was actually Ares, one of the 12 Olympian gods and the son of Zeus and Hera, that originally hailed the title of being the god of war. He liked the commotion and mayhem of the battlefield. He reveled in killing and elimination. In fact, he displayed no single feature that could potentially have a positive impact on human existence. This might make you wonder, what was the story behind this destructive god? Well, let's find out. Ares is the oldest child of Zeus, the king of the gods, and his sister wife Hera in Greek mythology. He is often regarded as having been born naturally as a result of his father and mother's relationship. However, according to a different tale, Hera managed to have Ares without the aid of Zeus by utilizing a special plant. Hera was furious and intended to conceive a boy without a father after Zeus had a daughter without a mother. Hera was made to touch a magical flower by Chloris, a nymph and the goddess of the flowers. She became pregnant thanks to this enchanted flower, giving birth to Ares. The Greeks had mixed feelings about Ares since he was a frightening, overwhelming force who was ravenous in combat, even if he symbolized the physical aggressiveness required for victory in war. His sister Eris calls forth to war, and Zeus directs its course. But Ares loves war for its own sake and delights in the din and roar of battles, in the slaughter of men, and the destruction of towns. He isn't even swayed by party spirit, and occasionally supports one side or the other, depending on his inclinations. In fact, even the destruction caused by plagues and epidemics was thought to be the work of this god's destructive hand. This makes it understandable why Ares is despised by the other gods and his own parents. It is believed that all the gods of Olympus, with the exception of Aphrodite, seem to have disliked Ares. He was naturally despised and even detested by Zeus because, as the son of Hera, he had inherited from his mother the deepest instincts of independence and contradiction, and because he took pleasure in disturbing the tranquil path of state life that Zeus was primarily responsible for establishing. For his appearance, Ares is shown as a young-looking guy with a tall, muscular physique that combines amazing power and agility. He holds a circular shield on his left arm and a sword or a powerful lance in his right hand. His demonic surroundings include terror and fear. Enyo, the goddess of war, cries, Kaidomos, the demon of the noises of battle, and Eris, his twin sister and companion, who always rides ahead of his chariot when he rushes to the fight. The most well-known Ares myth centers on his conflict with Heracles. In Greek mythology, Heracles was a demigod and a celestial hero. He was the adopted child of Amphitryon and the son of Zeus and Alcmene. One time, Heracles met across Cycnus, a murderous son of Ares, while traveling to the Oracle of Delphi. Cycnus gained notoriety for murdering travelers while they were on their way and using their skulls to construct a shrine in memory of his father. He challenged Heracles to a wrestling match and threw a spear towards Heracles' shield, but to no surprise, it didn't pierce through. Then Heracles killed Cycnus by piercing his neck with a spear. When Ares learned that his son had died, he became furious and struck Heracles with a spear, which was turned away by Heracles' guardian goddess Athena. Then Ares pulled out his sword and aimed it toward him, but the demigod saw a gap and plunged his spear into Ares' thigh. Following this, the other sons of Ares, Phobos and Deimos, carried the injured Ares to safety. Another famous myth talks about how he killed Halirrhothios, the son of Poseidon, when he offended the daughter of the war god Alcippe. This earned him the wrath of Poseidon. Ares was called before the Olympic god's court, which was held on a hill near Athens, by Poseidon as retribution for this act, and was exonerated. And it is said that this occasion gave birth to the name Areopagus, or Hill of Ares, which later became so well known as a court of justice. The two huge sons of Poseidon, known as Aloidae, defeated Ares in the Gigantomachia and imprisoned him for 13 months in chains. It would have been the end of Ares if Aerobia, the stepmother of the giants, wouldn't have informed Hermes, the herald of the gods. Ares was held screaming and howling in the urn until Hermes rescued him. Ares had several relationships with women, but none of them were as well known as his unison with Aphrodite. Hephaestus, the brother of Ares, was married to the goddess of beauty at the time. Electryon, a young man who was constantly with Ares, had the responsibility of alerting Ares and Aphrodite when Helios, the sun, rose beyond the horizon. However, he lost track of time one day and failed to alert the couple. Helios, who had just witnessed Ares and Aphrodite in a passionate embrace, instantly informed Hephaestus. Hephaestus took revenge, created a delicate, nearly undetectable bronze net, which he placed on the bed intended for Ares and Aphrodite, and the trap worked, imprisoning both the lovebirds. Days were spent by the Olympians making fun of the wretched captive couple. However, it appears that Ares got the last laugh in this situation, since Aphrodite gave birth to at least 3, and maybe as many as 8 offspring for him. There is yet another story where Ares was in love, but this time it was Aphrodite whom he cheated on. The Greek morning goddess Eos was the child of Hyperion and Theia, 2 titans, and Ares Ares was drawn to her beauty. She threw an alluring glance at Ares while seated on her throne and wearing long yellow robes. Following that, Eos and Ares had a very brief romance. Ares was wary about Aphrodite, his most well-known lover, discovering about the relationship while it was going on. The two lovers would thus skulk in the woods. Aphrodite pondered Ares' whereabouts when she was atop Mount Olympus. She tried to ask Athena if Ares was with her as they discussed war plans, but she was perplexed and unsuccessful. Athena instructed Aphrodite to follow her pet owl as it searched for Ares on her behalf. So, Aphrodite discovered Ares and Eos holding hands on a cliffside. Aphrodite cursed Eos with an insatiable sexual need and the ability to be in love all the time out of retaliation, rage, and envy. Due to this, Eos kidnapped several attractive young men, most notably Cephalus, Tithonus, Orion, and Clytus. But Aphrodite wasn't the only one harming their partner's lovers. Greek mythology describes Adonis as a young man of extraordinary beauty who is the child of Thais, king of Syria and Myrrha. Aphrodite was enchanted by this young man's stunning attractiveness. Being the favorite of Aphrodite, the goddess cautioned him to avoid getting too lost in the jungle on his hunting expedition, given that he was an expert hunter. However, young Adonis had an ambitious heart, and he disregarded Aphrodite's advice and dove deep into the woodland. There, a wild boar appeared out of nowhere, and despite his best efforts, Adonis was unable to frighten it off. The boar charged toward Adonis and swung its head violently, piercing the boy with his tusk. According to legends, Ares, Aphrodite's lover, was the one who murdered Adonis by disguising himself as a boar out of jealousy over Aphrodite's love for him. Another famous myth of him was the Trojan War, when Ares promised his mother Hera and half-sister Athena that he would fight for the Greeks at the beginning of the war. His beloved Aphrodite, however, convinced him differently. As a result, Ares violated his word and allied himself with the Trojans, seizing command of the war. Diomedes, a Greek hero, witnessed Ares fighting for the Trojans during the conflict. With Athena's assistance, Diomedes wounded Ares with a spear, and the agony he endured forced him to leave the battle. The Trojans were then forced to retreat as Ares escaped to Mount Olympus. Ares also lost his son Ascalaphus in the conflict. Zeus gave the order for the gods to cease fighting during that time. Despite the king of the gods' command, Ares was furious and sought to get revenge on his son. Athena, however, restrained him. Later, when Zeus let the gods engage in combat, Ares was the first to strike, assaulting Athena in retaliation for his earlier wound. But Ares was defeated by Athena, who hit him with a boulder. In the end, the Greeks overcame the Trojans thanks to Athena's intelligence and planning, which triumphed against Ares' unbridled bloodlust. And this brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching it, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future uploads. We'll see you next time around. Until then, stay mythically mad.